gonna change the world, change the world, change the world, yeah.
Welcome to Celebrate Transformation. I'm Sally Colon-Petree, and I am joined by my amazing co-host, Mr. Tim Storey.
That was nice of you to say.
Well, you are amazing. Yes, today's subject is actually a little bit of an intense subject, but I think it's going to be a really good one and very impactful. We're talking about stress and anxiety. So tell me a little bit about that, Tim. Like, what's your thought on this?
Well, I'm glad that you wanted to talk about it because I think that what happens in life, everybody is talking so much in commercials, social media about being happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Living your best life. And that should be part of what life is. But sometimes we don't feel so happy. We don't feel like we're living our best life. And that causes a lot of stress for people. And because I knew we were going to talk about this topic, one thing that causes stress is when you feel like you are not reaching the standards or the goals that you have been after. And so a lot of you that are watching today, you've been struggling with stress and anxiety, wondering if you're going to make it through COVID-19, wondering how you're going to do with your job, with your family. But today, Sally and I have some good answers for you.
Yes, we do. One thing that the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I, for so many years, struggled with anxiety. And, I had to get to a place of my life where it's like, I need some tools to get through this. And one thing that came to my mind is anxiety is like a bully.
Yes.
It comes after you. And I remember Bill Cosby had this little show called Little Bill. And Little Bill, the little kid, he was getting bullied at school, and he comes home and he tells his dad, and his dad goes, "I'm going to give you one word that's going to change your life when these bullies try coming after you." And the little kid's like, "What, Dad? What's the one word?" And he goes, "When someone says to you, you're this or you're that, this is what you're going to say to them. You're going to say, so." Right?
Yes.
Because that's a dismissive, it elicits a dismissive attitude towards the bully. So what I'm learning to do, I'm using it towards my anxiety, which I don't have it as much now, but is when I do have anxiety, I expose myself to that feeling. Why am I anxious right now? And I treat it like a bully. And I'm like, so I'm not going to let you get to me. And I name it. Have you tried that? Like naming the feeling of anxiety?
I like the idea. I really do. I think because what happens is that it comes on you, but now you have a positive response. So Let me read a scripture. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall lack nothing. So when it says that you shall lack nothing, it means you shall not have anxious desire.
Right.
So that's how cool this is. So the Lord is my shepherd. A shepherd does three things. He guides you, which is direction. He guards you, which is protection. He governs you, which is administration.
So good.
So the Lord is your shepherd. I lack no good thing. I am anxious about nothing. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. So we believe that we have an answer to anxiety. Do I believe in exercise to help eliminate it or bring it down? 100%.
Yeah.
Drinking a lot of water, eating correctly, 100%. Being around the right people, 100%. But there's also a supernatural factor that helps us to eliminate anxiety and stress in our lives.
Absolutely. And there's, also causes. Like, let's talk about some of the causes of anxiety. Exhaustion. You're so tired. You've been working hard. You are one of the hardest working people in Hollywood. So I'm sure that you have those moments of just, you're exhausted. Like, I'm sure I was thinking about you actually today before the show. And I go, I wonder all the things Tim did even before this show today. I bet you have this list about this long of all the things you do.
Yes. But let's have some fun with it for a second. I did an amazing company of a lot of people, one of the top companies in America. I spoke as a consultant for them. I've already life coached 2 amazing people.
Wow.
I just was on a Zoom call helping a young man get into a college to play basketball because he's that good. After this, I'm about to do a call for prison reform. As you know, my good friend Robert Downey Jr. started something for prison reform. But look at me. I'm in the moment, fully present, fully feeling, fully alive. Why? Because I live by what I just read. The Lord is my shepherd. Watch. I do not have to walk in that anxiousness. I do not have to.
But you know what? Let's not forget all the things that you just said is you changing lives, all of it. Like there's not one thing you said that I was like, oh, well, you know, he went to go eat at a fancy restaurant or he went to, you know, whatever about Tim. All of it was you impacting people's lives. I just wanted to like touch on that for a second. But I do want to go, you know, with some other reasons that we have anxiety and a poor diet. You know, you mentioned going and working out, you know, that's important. We're very busy, meds, and some of it is our DNA.
Yes.
You know, we come from parents that struggle with anxiety. You know, my dad struggled with anxiety and stress. And so some of that is in our DNA as well.
100%. And I think that it's important to let people know that we're all flawed. We all have faults. And the part of the flawed side can be your beauty. Like I know people that struggle with being ADD, but they're amazing at business. They can multitask like nobody's business. And some of the greatest artists have been people that were very depressed. And I think even David in the Bible, they don't really talk about that he had clinical depression, but just read the Psalms. 1 minute he's on top of the world. Next minute, where are you, God? Will you ever show up again? Absolutely. So I do agree with you. I think some of it is clinical. I think some of it is what we learned from our family, learned behavior. Yeah. Right? Like you have a moody mother. Many times the kids are moody. Moody dad. Many times the kids are moody.
That's right. And going back to anxiety being a bully, I think a lot of times our inner voices, the conversations we have when we start to feel anxious, right? It's kind of like a wave. Yes. So like a wave, you can go toward let's say you're let's say Newport Beach. That's one of my favorite beaches. And I'm, you know, walking in the water. All of a sudden this huge wave comes at me. I have choices. I'm either going to be afraid of that wave and let it bounce me backwards, or I'm going to dive into that wave and I'm going to go with it. So I think a lot of ways that's anxiety. We can either let it get us down, right? Because what we resist, we persist, right? Yes. Or we can go along with it and expose ourselves to the feeling. Why am I feeling this way? And then diminish it, right? With words like, you're not going to get me today. You know, I'm anxious because I have a lot to do today, but that's okay. I'm going to get it all done and we're going to be good. And I'm going to put a schedule together. And so it's taking the steps, right? So that we don't stay in that anxiety.
I like that. So there's a saying, and that is to attack your lack. And so I think that that's basically what you're saying. Yeah. If you feel this anxiety and stress, the answer is not always to stay in bed and watch the Real Housewives of over and over and over and over, right?
That's right.
So I want to read this because I know you love research. And one of the things that depression means is to go into a sunken place. I'm reading from my notes.
Wow.
And, you know, all of us have been in that sunken place. But as a life coach and a pastor, I don't mind if you go in that sunken place once in a while.
Right. I agree.
But if you go there for too long, then we really, really have problems. And that's what happens many times is that people, you know, they have a setback. Yeah. And they stay in that sunken place for too long. And then you know what happens? They begin to cement themselves in the sunken place. Right. And both of us have friends like that. Absolutely. You have friends that are in a sunken place, but they stayed there. Tell us about that.
They do. And, you know, what I can say to that, to my friends that, you know, sort of stay in that space is how can I pull them out of that space? Right. So some of the things that I say to them is like, find something that you love to do. You know, what excites you? What makes you feel happy? Like, think about some of the things that you've done in the past that made you feel happy, and let's go to that place, right? So it's almost like the visualization. Sometimes it's good with a coaching student to have a visualization and talk them through, almost talking them out of the hole that they put themselves in, right? Because
I like that a lot.
Yeah, because I know that what we accept, that we can transform. So if this person, and I think we probably have the same friend in mind, if she can accept, I do struggle with anxiety, I do, struggle with depression, then that's the beginning of the transformative, journey of this person. And that's what I tell a lot of my friends who do struggle with anxiety and depression and things like that, is just like, let's accept it. Let's say we have it, but then let's not stay there. Right.
Okay, so I think what we're saying today is, number one, we all go through stress and anxiety.
Yes.
It's part of life.
Part of life.
Ecclesiastes 3 says there's seasons and times in life, and we all go through it.
Right.
Otherwise, we wouldn't know Psalms 23 so much.
That's right.
And so we go through it, but Sally is teaching today, and I am teaching that you don't have to stay in the sunken place, that you can attack your lack. Okay?
Right.
So if you are feeling anxiety because of finances, or anxiety because of your children, how they're doing, not doing, anxiety about being single, or anxiety about relationships, then you can get better in these areas. So tell me an area how you have gotten through stress in dealing with 2 children. Your children, as we said in another episode, are very dynamic. Let's just say it that way.
Yes.
High personality, very dynamic, but it can stress a parent out to have amazing children. So how do you handle being stressed out and dealing with amazing children?
So several different ways, but I want to bring up one thing. So school started, right, this week. And I know that there's so many parents that are freaking out right now. I've read it on social media. I've read it on, Facebook. I'm part of some mom groups out here in Santa Clarita, and, parents freaking out. Like, what am I going to do? What if I don't have a computer for my kid? What if they both need it? What if we don't, what if my kids don't understand? And then there's parents that have to go to work. So they can't send their kids to school anymore. They have to figure out, I need to figure out a babysitter. There's so much stress on parents right now. So I wanted to kind of focus on that for a second.
Yeah.
For me, with my kids, I felt like I needed to support them. We had a family meeting. There was a video that our district put together. It's 15-minute video, saying like, this is what we're working towards. This is how you can, support your child. This is how the kids can stay, on top of their work. So I sat with the 4 of us, my ex-husband, my 2 kids, and me, and we watched the video to give us knowledge, right? Because when you have knowledge is power, as they say. But I felt like that was my way of equipping my kids. We gave them the things that they needed. We got them some Chromebooks from the school. And so that diffused what could have been an extremely, stressful and anxiety-based emotion for me. So I think, to answer your question, things come, but I'm learning, and I encourage all of you guys to, again, expose yourself to that feeling of, why am I feeling anxious? Get to the bottom line. And
I love what you're saying, because what you're saying, rather than just stay overwhelmed,
right?
You guys decided to educate yourself.
That's right.
And really, that helps a lot. And it's even like when you watch the news, if you watch it too long, it'll just beat you like a bad wave.
Right.
Because it's coming and coming and coming with so much negative.
Absolutely.
That you sometimes need to turn that off.
Yes.
And educate yourself on some of the positive things that are still going on in life.
That's right.
I was walking with somebody the other day, and they said, "Oh my gosh, I just saw a butterfly." And they got so excited that they saw this monarch butterfly.
Beautiful.
And I thought to myself, sometimes in the midst of pain, pressure, anxiety, stress, like we're talking about today, that we miss the little moments of life.
Absolutely.
Pay attention to the little moments of life, and that'll make you feel better. So let me tell you one way I get away from stress and anxiety. I love cartoons.
Do you really?
Yes. And
Wait,
so,
what's your favorite one?
no, but I go back to the old days when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
I'm really into the Flintstones.
Oh, I love the
Yeah,
Flintstones.
so you can still get them.
Flintstones.
So what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll watch like old cartoons. And man, I had myself laughing like 2 weeks ago
Aw.
about, I'm telling you, Fred was so tough on Barney. Poor little Barney.
Oh, poor Barney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing I love is I Love Lucy.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm gonna just tell a quick story. There was a very powerful man that I was life coaching, and he was under a lot of stress and anxiety. He has over 200 employees, and he was telling me about all the stress and anxiety. So I challenged him as his exercise for the week. I said, I want you to watch 5 days in a row an episode of I Love Lucy, because I asked him, what was your favorite show when you were a kid? He said, I Love Lucy.
Aw.
I mean, he could have said Partridge Family. He
Right.
could have said Brady Bunch. He said, I Love Lucy. I said, 5 days in a row, and you can do this. You need to watch I Love Lucy. And he's like, come on, Tim. We're not kids. So he goes, I'm going to do it because I respect you so much. It's a true story.
Good.
After day 3, he texted me and he said, oh, my God, me and my wife can't stop laughing.
Oh.
And then he said, we found it on this channel where they keep playing one after another.
Mm-hmm.
He says, we both felt like kids again.
Wow.
So sometimes you need to shift your satellite dish,
Yes.
the pressure that you're picking up, and go back to the simple things in life.
That's right. I love that so much.
Mhm.
You know, I have my favorite shows too that I like to watch, like old time shows that I like to watch. And it just kind of takes you back, you know, good memories. It gives you a calming spirit, and laughter makes
Yeah.
the heart feel good, you know?
Yeah.
So one thing that I was going back to anxiety, being a bully, I think a
Right.
lot of times people, you know, all of a sudden something will happen, you know, phone call from a friend, you know, someone passed away, whatever the thing is, and a relationship, you know, break up. And all of a sudden you start to get these anxious feelings and you start to say, what if?
Yes.
It's that what if thing, like, what if, you know, something happens to my child? What if I lose my job? What if I run out of money, right? And to go back to what Little Bill's dad said,
Yeah.
so when you have those moments where you say the what ifs and you start to get anxious,
Yes.
say to yourself, you know, what if I lose my job? So I'll get another one.
Yeah.
If I lose someone, you know what? I'm going to grieve through it and I'm going to get through it and it's going to be fine. What if, you know, so going back to that, if you have a what if, then go to that
Yeah.
to
I
help
like it. I like it.
to help minimize the pain of anxiety.
100%. And I agree that it is a bully. Okay.
It is.
So let me read something. According to a medical dictionary, depression may be described as a feeling of being sad, blue, unhappy, miserable, or
Mhm.
down in the dumps.
Wow.
Okay. So we've all been there before. Sad,
Yep.
blue, unhappy, miserable, down in the dumps.
Wow. Mhm.
So help us out today, Sally. When you feel miserable,
Yes.
what do you think that a person can do when they feel miserable?
I think the one thing that's so important, and I said it a little bit earlier, was to expose yourself to the feeling of why you feel miserable.
Yes.
Expose yourself, which means, you know, it's that thing that we talked about a couple of episodes ago, is to stop, look, and listen, right? So stop for a minute and think, why am I anxious right now? What triggered the anxiety in this moment, right? And then talk to that. It's that, name it, right? It's naming the feeling and then talking to it and say, no, you're not going to get me today.
Okay,
So
very
it's exposing yourself to the feeling, because you can talk yourself out of anything. You can talk yourself into anything as well. So exposing yourself, and then, you know, I think journaling is super important. I think it's important to have quiet moments in those times, have quiet moments and say to yourself, like, what's happening to me right now? And how can I diffuse this for the future?
Okay, I love that. And if you don't mind, I want to add the word gratitude.
Yes, I love that.
Because, you know, I think sometimes when you wake up, you just need to move your fingers and go, thank God I'm alive.
Yes.
No, for real. Like,
I
thank
agree.
God I'm alive. I'm alive. You may wake up that morning and think about all the things you have to face.
Yes.
If you have kids, you know, getting the kids ready, up, moving, then maybe you have a job too. Then
Right.
you have a dog you got to feed, and you may have a dog and a cat. I don't know.
Who knows? A fish.
Sally used to like rent dogs. I
What?
don't know what that was about.
What
Every
is
time I'd be
that?
around you, you had like a new dog, like you rescued these new dogs.
We did. We used to foster dogs, my girls and I. Yeah. But then we landed on one that we love, Max, and we've had him for a couple of years. That's so funny that you remember that.
Of course I remember. But I think that the reality is that we need to have gratitude. So let me read this from my notes. When we focus on what we do not have rather than remembering what we have, we obsess on that feeling of what we do not have.
Right.
And so I think that is so true, even in the midst of COVID, like, ooh, they're making us stay within this group,
Right.
and stay within our homes, or we have to have our masks, but let's think about what we do have.
Yeah.
So really today, for all of you that are watching, please try to think about, I can move my hands. You know, some of you can walk, some of you cannot walk. But all of us can at least feel in some form or fashion. Mm-hmm. Let's think about how awesome it is just to be alive.
Absolutely. And, for all the busy people out there, because Tim and I are super busy, I think there's a lot of busy people right now because of COVID happening, people trying to figure out what's next. What do I do? People have lost their jobs. They've been furlough, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And then the school, going online. So there's a lot of anxiety right now. But one thing that I would love, just a little tidbit, this is something that I do that really helps me. So right before I go to bed, I put a little, whether it's in my phone or, in my notebook that's next to my bed, I put a little schedule of what I'm doing the next day. Yeah. So I wrote down, like last night, I wrote down, shooting with Tim, gotta go on my walk. I had to do my book club. I had to get ready for that. That's happening right after this. And then I got on a phone with a distributor from New York about my film. So I had a lot going on today. Then, I still have 2 kids in school right now. So that's going to come at me. So I wrote down in my phone, from this time to this time, I'm doing this. This time, I'm doing this. So that way, when I got up in the morning, I didn't go, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. What am I going to do? No, I picked up my phone and I go, okay, I'm doing this at this time, this at this time. So that helped me to breathe through it and to go, I got this.
I like that a lot. So it diffuses it.
It diffuses it.
It diffuses it. Okay, so we have about 2.5 minutes. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. This is still Psalms 23. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And then it says something amazing. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Don't you feel that in your life?
Absolutely.
We have God super on our natural. We're not doing this by ourselves. We have God super on our natural.
Absolutely. And, before we end this, because I know we just have a couple minutes, there is a book that I would like to recommend. And it's a book that I read for my, when I was going through my school, life coaching school. And it has everything to do with anxiety and stress and panic attacks. And it's called Dare. It's a really great book. I read it. It helped me get through a lot of things. We didn't really talk about panic attacks, but it does cover that subject. So, we'll put it underneath and we'll let you know who the author is. But that's, reading is a great way to get through situations. So it's called Dare. D-A.
I love it. So I would like to also say, if you want to life coach with Sally Colon-Petree, you can. So all the information is below. Mm-hmm. She is phenomenal. She is a great life coach. She's amazing in the area of helping people get through challenges in their life. She's great at helping people in transitions, going from one place to the next. And I think you are phenomenal in boundaries. And you should be, because you studied them for about 12 years straight.
I told you I'm going through boundaries too again. I know you make fun of me but you know what? I got to keep it going. And then you know what too? Tim is an amazing life coach. He's helped me through so many hard situations in my life and so many other people. So if you're interested in life coaching with Tim, all the information is below, but I know it's timstory.com, right? So all the information is below. It's life-changing working with Tim Storey. I can tell you that.
What a privilege doing this show with you. We're helping a lot of people. All you people that are watching, share because you care. Tell more people about the program. Even after it is shown live, stays there on Jesus Daily, and you can watch it later.
Yeah. So we have a series on Jesus Daily, so you can actually go back if you didn't have time to watch this, or let your friends know they can watch it later. There's a series on Jesus Daily, so go back there and watch it. It stays up there; it doesn't go anywhere. And we're just excited that you guys are the people that are here, that you guys came to check out our show today. And I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Life is good.
We'll see you next time. I'm Sally Colon-Petree, and this is Tim Storey, and we are excited to see you next time. Bye-bye.
I'm gonna change the world, change the